Welcome to Pickspace AI Property Management Podcast. I'm Maor Cohen, founder and CEO of Pickspace AI, and I'm here today with Jon Bohlen. We're going to dive in a little bit to his story, to hear from him how he managed properties, how his experience contribute him to get to where he is today. In each episode, I'm going to speak with industry leaders to explore what's working, what's changing, and where the industry is headed. Let's jump into today's podcast and conversation with my guest, Jon Bohlen, Senior Director of Operation at Real Property Management Express.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Jon. So let's start with your story. Every leader in property management has a unique path, and I already know that yours is particular. Seems to blend operation excellence with people first value, which I found fascinating. So please, let's walk through it.
Yeah, it's a little bit longer than most because I take what I like to call a detour. I grew up as a young boy. My family, we had properties that we managed. We flipped houses and we owned a portfolio of apartments in a small town in South Dakota. That's how I grew up. I was one of the kids in northern South Dakota. I hated snow days because I knew that it was going to have me on the business end of a shovel. And there was a particular time that's always kind of funny. I tried swearing in biology to get detention when they called a snow day so I wouldn't have to go shovel. But when my teacher found out that I was trying to potentially get detention to not have to go shovel, she very willingly let me out. So that's my middle school and into high school. And then, when you mentioned in my introduction, there's 20 years of healthcare. So the contributing factor that sent me to healthcare was I was working hand in hand with my father for property management, doing it from the family business. And he died when I was 18. I came home from school one day, and actually I came home from work and he had passed away in the bathroom and I found him. And so, clearly that's a pivotal point in any 18-year-old boy's future. Him and I were actually fighting during that time. I got mad at him and I was working for an ice cream shop and came home and there he was. And, fast forward, that is the thing that sent my career from construction and property management into healthcare. So a few weeks after his death, there was an EMT class that our ambulance was having, and they had it set up. You can be 18 years old, take this class and help with the ambulance things. And I thought, that's a good thing for a kid like me to have. Maybe I could help somebody else going through what I went through. So I took the EMT class and left for college that fall to go pursue construction engineering and get a degree that would help me with the property management space. But, EMS is a adrenaline filled career and it's a very rewarding one. And I spent my weekends at freshman year of college doing ambulance calls. And so I was a freshman in college and going back every weekend, I was doing things on the ambulance. And it took me about 3/4 of that school year to decide, I think I wanted to do this. And so I left college and went to paramedic school at Avera McKenna. So I did that as a year-long program. It's full-time, 5 days a week. Actually, it's more than that. You have to go to school and then go to clinicals. And so that was that next year. I graduated with that and I did my internship in Kansas City. And I was going to move to Kansas City, but my mom said, hey, I'd love it if you'd please just get a degree in something and do whatever you want. Mom, step in, Mom. And she then had me come home because actually the University of Sioux Falls here, they offer paramedic credits and they offer almost 2 years of college for the credits, recognizing how long it took. And so I put those credits and got my bachelor's degree in USF, working in different jobs, a little bit of paramedicing in Sioux Falls. And then when I graduated, I went back up to northern South Dakota and worked for a couple of years on the ambulance in our small town of Millbank and then assisted in South Dakota. And I did that for a couple of years.
Probably everyone by then knew who you are, probably saw you one or twice.
Yep, the small town guy came home to run. I did that for a couple of years. And then I was hired back to Sioux Falls as one of the youngest flight paramedics to ever work at Sanford Health, the hospital here in town. And I did that for a number of years. And then went and did some education because I was in my early 20s, so I'm chasing adrenaline. And, I went to do an ambulance because they let me drive an ambulance as 18 years old with the lights and sirens on. And then I heard you can do that on a helicopter. And so I went to work as a flight paramedic and you get to do the sickest of the sick and help with while doing it in high functioning aircraft, high performance aircraft. And so why would the kid in his mid-20s do that? During that time, I got engaged and had a first baby. And it's amazing what that does to somebody's perspective. All of a sudden, the risk of what I was doing started to come full circle. The chances of helicopters falling out of the sky. Now, that's not to say that air transport, EMS, is not very safe. There's a lot of safety things that it's safe. But when you have little lives that depend on you, your perspective is bound to change. So I transitioned out of that. I started teaching and began looking for leadership opportunities. And then I became the manager for Stanford Air Transport. That was my first leadership job where I managed about 100 clinicians, 5 different specialty teams. Stanford Sioux Falls is one of the biggest specialty transport bases in the country as far as bases, or not bases, but volume of transports and specialty teams. Then into COVID, I was looking for something. Throughout my healthcare career, I was always looking for something. And I didn't know what it was. And so I thought maybe it was additional certification. So a lot of EMS providers are chasing certifications. I got through all this during all the time that I just spoke about. I got 2 more degrees, a degree, 3 more degrees, an associate's degree in nursing, bachelor's degree in nursing, and then finally a master's degree in nursing and leadership.
I want to dive in a little bit into a different topic, market trends and competitive landscape inside the property management arena, right? So if we go back or in a little bit more in depth into the property management, let's talk about like what you see, changed over the years, and what do you think from your perspective is about to come as a market trend or something?
Something that really struck me from when I was doing it as a child to now in the different markets is, it's very easy for people to think as apartments as just a big building with some homes in it, but when you get these buildings big enough, you have to start to think about the interest rates and how you adjust the rent and stay competitive with the neighbor because they're doing a free month rent. And then our rent is competitive, but that's a new building and they're to move for a free month. When I did it growing up, we just set our rents and then we just kind of you structure and you boost them by a few percentage points the next year, and it's just kind of a slow incremental growth. Now with the competitive market, Sioux Falls, we have the benefit as being one of the top, I'll just say top 50 because I'm sure it's in that number, but I think it's actually lower than that. A lot of people are moving to South Dakota. And so that growth spurred a substantial amount of development where our market is very competitive. We always often refer to it as an amenities arms race. Who's got the pools and the cool little things that come with it. People aren't just looking for apartments anymore. It's more of an experience. And I always find myself wondering did the short-term rentals from where I understand they're based a lot on that experiential aim. And so is that starting to make its way into the long-term items where I don't want a short-term for my vacation. I want to live there too. And so balancing the amenity arms race with competitive pricing is something that is definitely a big trend. But then getting to an affordable place where tenants are happy and that's actually quiet and well built is another variable.
Yeah. Because they can be like, you can cut the price, but then they're not happy anymore. And then they want to move somewhere else.
Yep. I think people move a lot easier than when I remember. I hate moving. I hated moving. I always have. And I don't think that's the case. Folks are just wanting to live life and love where they live, which is a goal of real property management.
I agree. And if you look at like the different property management companies around you, why you are better than them or why they are better than you, and what do you want to enhance in your offering that would make you better in the following next years?
Our mission is to get people to love where they live. And with our rapid growth, there's been some stumbling points, or not everybody that lives within one of our properties feels that. And I don't think people understand that we really are serious about that. And so we work with people and try and get them to love where they live, make the wrongs right. We're growing fast, we're learning a lot, and mistakes happen, but we're paving the way on our rapid growth. And I'm not going to speak to being better than the rest or better than the competitor. I'm just going to say that we really care about our people and we're trying to do that part the best. It's more of an internal focus as far as experience for our customers than it is comparing ourselves to the neighbor.
Like, for example, like what would be an amenity or something that you would do that would help tenants to decide to stay with you and not to move? Like, do you have an example about like something that you do exceptional than the others? Like if they call or if they have a maintenance request, like how fast do you, like how do you care? How do you take care of them?
So our service level agreement for maintenance, I think, is something we should be pretty proud of. We have everybody working in our core software. Our resident portals. And then when you put your work order in, our hope is that that is solved. You're responded to within a day, but then it is completely solved within 24 hours, 48 at the most. 48 is still okay, but it's why did that take so long? On occasion, then we have to outsource some of our things to vendors, and that's not good. We don't have control of that, so we have to acknowledge that. In those instances, we strive for our communication to be top notch, above, and keep our residents informed. I think a common misconception is residents are looking for resolution right away. What I see a lot of the times is just somebody to acknowledge it, have some empathy, and keep them informed of who's coming, when's that inspection happening, when's my air conditioner going to be fixed, or a window, or any one of the things.
That's great. And I think you mentioned like that if a maintenance request comes, you put it into your software. So it's actually our next topic, like software systems, automations, property management. So I want to dive into that a little bit more. Can you describe your process? How do you take care of like tenants, vendors, payments, owners, tenants, leasing? A little bit about like how you sort your world in order for you to handle everything, because it's a lot.
It sure is a lot. We focus on the department model here at RPME. We have a maintenance department, service department. Starting with the service department, we'll travel through the life cycle of a resident. We have a specialty group who is our resident sales team, and they show properties that are most urgent red flag, as we refer to them, as properties who need a little more vacancy. From there, they get the people to the door. And for non-red flag properties, the community manager manages that, showing the schedule. From there, it turns into service where we want you to love where you live. So your community manager is a host of sorts to get your residents comfortable and happy and settled in.
And if you dive into the software, what software do they use in order to put them into the system, etc.?
Yep. So all of our main processes are managed at AppFolio. Our work order submission, you move in, you get a link. Actually, it starts with showing you get a link for your application, you get you in the system, and from there, it's all managed through there. You can put your work order. It's got a great app. You can add your work order. We don't actually need a call to submit a work order. We're like to think that we've made it pretty easy to submit the order, do the thing. At that point, it comes into the system where a coordinator will schedule it based on what it is and where the techs are going to be. So we try to keep our techs busy at the same building so they're not driving all over the place, increasing their efficiency, allowing us to get to them faster. We have a call center that when you call into, we can connect you with the proper person, the leader, your direct community manager, or maybe their leader, or even myself at the senior director level.
And the call center is in with.
It is not. That call center is overseas.
Nice. So you may manage to put a lot of things like together in order to build your operation to work for you.
Yep.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Our president, Merlin Huff, and our owner, Josh Kattenberg, are both so fun to work with. I mean, Josh is our visionary, Merlin's our implementer. So he takes Josh's vision and he brings it to me, and we get our team together and try to figure out how to make it so. And they have pieced together lots of things that do a certain task really well. And I think if we're going to head into that conversation next, is how does technology affect us? I think there's technology through AI coming that's going to take all these fragmented processes that we've stuck together, and now it's AI coming in a fragmented approach. And how can we do that as little as possible, but also as much as possible, invoking AI into all our processes?
I agree. And I 100% agree. And I think that this is what we're, building here, like a little bit step by step, either with introducing property management to AI or property managers telling us about how they currently use AI. But before we jump to AI, and we will, every software, there is no perfect software, right? So, and there is no one software that can do everything for you, right? So I would like to ask like what type of things, like supporting decision making across the business or usability, or what, that falls short, like from software point of view.
It's still, some software is better, and I won't not going to go into specifics, but you have some software that plays well with others that some doesn't. And I think the interoperability will be the game changer, is who can figure out how to have something secure in a process that's really, really good, but then that has also got a great API set in place to make sure that it can hook up to the next thing. Because like I said, we have fragmented processes. And so if we're not careful, we can replace fragmented processes with a fragmented disconnected software suite. Our tech director, Maddie Todd, and her counterpart, Stephen, are super good at keeping an eye on all of these things. When we're talking about taking a process over with technology, great, we're still going to have to connect it to everything else.
What would you connect? What's API are you using today? What's integrations?
We're a Google Suite shop that integrates everything with our complaint manager software and Help Scout, our project manager and Asana. Google Sheets has done a really good way of being that all-encompassing connector. And so we have some really impressive spreadsheets and dashboards to help community managers know, like, oh, I've got this many complaints or this many calls I need to find. I've got this many residents I need to text for an issue, and this is what's left in my showing CRM. So we have all of that laid out.
And all those are integrated to your AppFolio, to your property management software, or is it something else that like the Google Sheet and everything else?
Right now, the Google Sheets is serving as our data visibility platform. So that, because it has the most adaptability to the APIs from AppFolio. So AppFolio's API exports into Google Sheets. So does Help Scout. So does Asana. Everything is going over there. And we have spreadsheets that are in the form of dashboards and indicators. So that's how it's going now, but we're outgrowing the capability with our volume. Our goal is 20,000 units by 2029. We have everything we need to get there. I do firmly believe that we'll get there.
Sure. With the experience, with how you manage with things and how you bring things together, I'm sure you'll cross the 20,000. That's impressive. So let me ask you one more thing regarding like systems and operation. Let's take the payments, for example. How do you handle payments? Is it still manual? Is it still checks, still cash, or is it online automatically? What's your take?
It's a pretty heavy mix of all of them. We've got a lot of paper checks that come in. We're trying to sundown that, get people to transition to automatic rent through AppFolio. AppFolio's got all of this stuff locked down, and that's where we manage most of our payments now. But it's a pretty heavy mix of all of the above.
What would you say? Like, let's describe the portfolio. Is it like more residential, more commercial? How many units? How many tenants? Where about? Like, give the audience a little bit of a tree there that they can imagine the portfolio and the business.
Yeah, thanks. A good point of clarity. So if you look up Real Property Management, it's a franchise model underneath Neighborly, and that's a single family home management company. So we have don't hold me to the numbers because it changes a little bit, in the neighborhood of 500 single family homes in the Sioux Falls area that we manage for the RPM franchise. But as we were managing some of these doors, our owner was approached years back that said, "Hey, you're doing really good with my houses. Can you do this building that I just built?" And that's a 300 unit complex in Sioux Falls here. So we've since grown from those 500 houses to we've got about 4,800 doors that we manage in Sioux Falls proper, and then another 1,200 doors that are managed in some smaller markets across Iowa. And then we're currently breaking into a couple of new markets. I'm not going to go too far into that yet, but we are currently breaking into some new markets, and we know that to get to that goal, we need to grow by 500 doors per quarter. And so we're at the cusp of a quarter right now. We're just closing out this quarter. We hit it. Actually, we exceeded it just a little bit, even with couple hundred doors that went to their own in-house management. But we've got the next 500 doors on the horizon, and we just need to do that perpetuity, and we'll get up to 20,000 before we know it.
Wow. And is it all self-funded, or are you like managing also a fund where people help you to buy the new property that you manage?
So we do work with asset management companies. We've got several large customers that we work with. A sister company to us is Liberty Capital, where we go to buy our own buildings, and we have an investing group portfolio that we do underwriting, look at buildings. I think we've got three properties now that are somewhere along that pipeline of being underwritten, or we're doing a capital raise. But the focus of our business is third-party property. And so we don't necessarily care about we really want to raise the money, but we don't want to make any money over there in the fees. We want the business over in our focus, which is third-party property management.
Understand. And now, last question regarding payments. I know like AppFolio today charge pretty heavy amounts on fees on online payments. It's easier. It's automate the business. However, it's pretty expensive to request tenants to pay the 3.4 or more percent of the credit card fees or the fees on the ACH. What's your take about it? And how do you try to either avoid the fee, or what's your opinion?
That's pretty detailed, the accounting side of things. I couldn't even speak to how the fee is passed along. I'm sure it's probably passed through the tenant, and you take that 3% of your rent, and how long does that take? And it's going to be the cost of sending that in, writing that check, taking that time. So we hope that, with the intent to be nice for people and convenient, that the fee is a small price to pay for that, for some of the convenience that comes with just hit and submit.
Every 1 million, it's $30,000 of fees if it's 3%. Yes. So yeah, not a small number, but property management, it's a business like everything. There's no free meals, right?
And it seems like you're seeing that a lot more too in all the different industries. I don't remember what I paid for. Oh, I was at the courthouse getting fingerprinted for a license, and it's $25, and they charge me $2 extra to use my credit card. I know I've seen that at a couple of coffee shops. And so I don't think property management's alone in those fees being assessed, but I think a lot of places that are hiding fees, I think it's putting that into the atmosphere that it's a part of life, and I don't like it, but it's an unfortunate part.
Became part of it once the QuickBooks decided to push the bank transfers and to start charging also on credit cards a lot. So everyone lined up, including AppFolio and all the others.
Okay. Yep, grab that extra percentage.
And let's talk about the contracts, compliance, vendor management. Like, what would be the go-to? How would you manage it in DocuSign? Would you send them a PDF to sign? How would you automate that process? Because even growing 500 doors, it means signing 500 contracts in a quarter. It's a lot.
Yep. DocuSign's our big go-to with that. It's, it makes it very, very easy to send those documents out and get them back. And if you've done setting your expectations early, that can be a quick process. We're currently working on standardizing our set of vendors so we can negotiate a bulk contract with paper products and mats and cleaning supplies, perhaps. But then, that can be a different way. Even trash. We're starting to explore having a package that's offered by our management company. So if you bring your property in, we've pre-negotiated this suite of vendors that's giving you the best price, adding to your bottom line. So our volume is hitting a number of sets where that's actually can be a very beneficial conversation. And stay tuned for that. So we're just starting into that to concentrate. So that'll actually make it easier to bring those 500 doors, because I can call those 3 or 4 main vendors and say, hey, here's where we're going. Just go set up, and off they go. I
hear you. Let's say I hear you. So let me ask you this. If you can take yourself just one, even, it's today, you can't ask someone about 5 years vision, because every day changes so quickly. So I will ask a year from now, where do you see the business? Where do you see it from a technology point of view? How do you think AI will come into more usage in the business? Where do you see AI comes in? I think we're going to see some AI helping us with handling some of the phone call volume, because that's something that we just can't seem to ever stay on top of. And some of our biggest detractors on our reviews are communication. So we're going to integrate AI into that in some fashion. There's a lot of different options, even as far as vendor communications from our company to the vendor and our company to the resident. So communication with AI is going to hit the ground hard here. And I know that by the end of the year, we'll have an additional probably 2,000 units if things continue the way they are. So 2,000 more units and an AI suite that's helping us make sure people are informed and love where they live. I think one thing to point out, I guess, a closing thought is that people have said, wait a minute, we went from caring for people and taking care and being healthcare to property management. And I said, I think I'm providing them a house. I'm still an important part of their life, just in a different time. I'm done reacting and dealing with their crises. I'm helping to set them on a path that makes them happy. And so that's been a really fun contrast for me, is to be in a different part of people's lives, one that's not based in catastrophe, one that's, let's set you up and find you someplace you love to live and keep you there. 100%. I love every word, and I agree. In the end of the day, as you said multiple times, we want people to live where they love and love where they live. And you're the enabler of that, and constantly working and making it better for them. So again, thank you for choosing to do that and to do good. And I'm sure it's going to be great. And thank you for being with me today and with us with Pickspace AI Podcast. And that's it.
Thank you, and good to meet you.